What an absolutely mind-blowing ending for so much information being revealed, ranging from Flair just really knowing how much she knows, to just the callbacks to the beginning of the show. Like, if I'm not mistaken, the idea of how the other Pinky, because, like they mentioned, there's always two Pinkies, so they did kill one, but the other not only brings back the girl we thought was dead, seemingly reveals that they're sisters, which ties back to the whole "you had a sister" comment. But then the idea of how she used almost like necromancy to bring back, and there was an otherworlder's body that she used as a giant source of ether, and seemingly based on the clothing, that ties back to the first character that our girl killed in episode 1. The callbacks, how the show leaves the perfect breadcrumb trail, like, I'm honestly blown away by the executioner and her way of life. This is probably one of the biggest hidden gems I've discovered in a season in some time, not because I didn't hear about it coming out, because I did hear about it coming out and I thought it looked rather fun, but the absolute quality that this show decided to deliver week after week, I mean, it's pretty much as close to perfect for a story as I would ask for something that's trying to be so jaw-droppingly incredible. And I mean, Flair's been someone who seems to be the reason why someone like Akari is not able to navigate anymore, that things are different. I just wasn't expecting them to end the season on her saying, okay, let's go kill my apprentice for the zillionth time. She's aware of the loops, and that's why it seemingly always fails. And it'll be interesting, right? Because Chaos did something that is very interesting. First of which, in last week's episode, she revealed to Akari that there's a way to go back to Japan, meaning that her own desire of simply just dying by Menno's hands, now there's a new thing, a new possibility. And at the end of this, fight with someone like Menno, she mentions there's a official way that with the sword of the salt sword, whatever they called it, right, that can kill her. So Chaos made it so both characters have two very different opinions of where to go now. Even though someone like Menno is doubting, like, what if I could guarantee there's no issues and everything like that, she's definitely having doubts. So even if she decides to say, you know what, I do want to keep her around, you then have Momo, who now is on the quest of making sure she'll die no matter what. This is like absolute chaos, and I'm glad the fact that instead of just making it that the characters overpowered the most OP thing that we've seen in the show to date, rather, the entire reason that it brought about its own downfall was because it's chaos and simply wanted to have fun. The fact that because it decided to go for an elongated body, something that's just massive in strength, it no longer could be invincible. And the fact that even after they defeat it, they recognize, like, this ain't over. Like, there's gonna be another Pinky. You don't just send one, there's two Pinkies. And they very much are in the situation of, like, holy shit, if we get a season 2, the idea of where that could go is insane because they want to make a bigger movie. And like I said in last week's episode, as much as I like antagonists who have master plans, horrible backstories that shape them into who they are, I also like evil for the sake of evil. And this is a pure demonic character. Someone who seems so innocent on a visual level, but will raise the dead and just wants to destroy things and become the ultimate evil just to make a movie. Like, I seriously have no idea how they would top what we just saw, but I know they would, which is another reason I really hope they give us a season 2, because goddamn, this show is unlike anything else right now. The one thing I was interested in seeing the most, given that I knew I liked this episode no matter what they did, was how they were going to handle the 3D with this very disgusting centipede-looking creature. And for the most part, I quite enjoyed it. I like the slithering around and kind of like trapping them inside almost like a spider's web, but instead of it being a web, it's just like this prickly body that's like closing in on them. And it's interesting to see how they ultimately defeat it, playing off of things that have been established previously, whether it's using the princess's sword, which is a awesome fire attack, and then also draining the ether from someone like Akari, and launching a destruction of flame. So like nothing about this felt like things came from thin air. It's previously established abilities, things we've seen in prior episodes, but it ultimately felt like the reason they got that victory wasn't because they were technically stronger. Had she decided to not be chaos in the sense of, okay, I need to just have fun, I need to have a movie, there was no objective. It was simply a psychopath, and had she kept on the invincibility, they wouldn't have won. So now I'm curious to see, like, with the second movie, not be as grand in scale, but something where it is invincibility or something, or is that too boring? I don't know, but either way, I mean, I think the most dangerous opponents that any character can go up against are the ones who have no fear in dying. Mix that in with a personality that just wants destruction for the thrill of it, and seriously, at the very least, just one more core. That's all I need. I just need to see Pandemonium and just everything like that more. But I mean, the flare content would be so fascinating because they're very much establishing, which I thought they did a brilliant job with the visual symbolism, someone like Menno looking at two different roads to go down. One is hopeful, it's bright, it's positive, clearly symbolizing that that would be her surviving, and another is a dark alley, which is symbolizing her death. And seriously, I have no idea where a show like this would actually end, because you could say, well, every time from what we've seen in someone like Akari's loops, Menno ends up dying. So seemingly that's what built on into her belief of, if I die, Menno will live. I love Menno, so therefore that would be the solution. But if there comes a point where, because this loop is clearly different for her, I'm very interested to see if something Menno would say would then shake Akari to then abandoning just simply dying, because that hasn't been working anyway. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen next. Either way, I mean, this show is establishing a lot for the future, and given what they established early on and throughout these episodes, and then how they wrapped it all up and kind of did those callbacks, it feels like a very strongly structured show, that it's not just randomly placing things and coming up with things on the spot. It's a pretty grounded show that had a general idea of where it wanted to go, and I thought the animation and the directing did a very solid job at making everything about this world so interesting. It visually was distinct with magic. I think the psychoticness and the adorableness, it all came out rather well, and just, it leaves you wanting more, which is what you want to see for an ongoing show. It's not one of those things where they're like, okay, well, you know, they wrapped up the first thing, but I'm okay leaving it off. No, this one's like, we did wrap up the first thing, but what's coming next is clearly going to be even better, so how the hell do you not hype up a second season and hope we get it? Now, obviously, only time will tell. All we can do is cross our fingers. Tomorrow it could come out that we're getting more. 2 years from now it could come out we're getting more. But all we can do is recommend it to people, make sure that the buzz is out there, keep the conversation going, because I think this show was one of a kind, and I think, honestly, by the time I look back at this year of anime in general, I honestly think this will be one of the shows I look back at most fondly because of how much it subverted expectations in intelligent ways rather than just for shock value like a lot of anime typically try to do. But it's sad because I don't get to talk about it anymore. But if we do get a second season, it will be so fun to jump back up here and talk with you guys. But thoughts down below, theories if you got any, and let's just hope for a season 2. Let me know your feelings, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.